Well, hello, hello. How is everyone? See some people in the house. Clue, hello, sir. How are you? Let me start my little lo-fi here. Turn that down. So welcome. Man, I just thought I'd go live. It's been a while, and just I had a couple thoughts. Excuse me, to get out, and so that's it, really. You know, saw an article in the Discord, and there was a key phrase. It said, someone posted said, theoretical framework developed by two black women. I was like, uh-oh. I think there is a grift afoot. Could be a grift afoot. So, let me share this on my screen, all right? All right, where did that go? There it is. All right, here we go. So, let me make that bigger. So, all right. Racial opportunity costs. Why black men aren't transferring. Okay, let's see what's going on here. 4 or 5 articles left, alrighty. So, let's begin. This piece concerns the reason why relatively few black men become vertical or upward transfer students transferring from associate to bachelor's programs. Transfer offices act as bridges to access higher education. They exist as portals into and out of material realities. Access to higher education and mobility from poverty is paramount for the individual student. But how the intra and intergenerational socioeconomic growth higher education affords the children and grandchildren of the student is what cements higher education accessibility as a best practice for social mobility. And I think there are a lot of assumptions here. Right? I think it's presupposing a bachelor's degree as the best avenue for mobility. And that may not always be true. That may not always be true. So, for instance, I do not have a 4-year degree, although I have a very solid middle class income. Right? I went to community college and got not an even associate's. I just got a class that got me my CCNA, Cisco Certified Network Associate. That's it. Right? Turn that and some hard work into a solid middle class income. So maybe an associate's degree is optimal, or it optimizes that particular person's economic advantage, right? Could be. I mean, just it's a question worth asking rather than assuming the only path forward is a 4-year degree. So, and this is written in the first person. Who is this? Rocio Rayo. Rocio Rayo. What is? I can't see what they look like. All right. So, although I have been at the University of New York as a student, adjunct, or staff member for 15 years. Now, there's a clue here. There's a certain way this person thinks, right? If they've been immersed in this, they are part of the educational industrial complex. So I've been the director of transfer services at CUNY's Hostos Community College for less than 9 months. One of the first things I learned in this role is that a tremendous amount of work is being done to strengthen the infrastructure of transferring at CUNY. For example, The work of A2B, Assist Bachelor's Group. These brilliant minds are building systems to ease the transfer process for students. Furthermore, there is space for people doing the work at various institutions to enter the conversation with questions, challenges. I like this phrase, doing the work. What does that mean? Doing the work. I don't know. So, what is the work? So, as I begin to analyze historical data to higher education via transfer, lacuna appeared. Relatively few Black men are enrolling in community colleges. I gotta focus on language. Relatively few Black men are enrolling in community colleges, and therefore are not transferring to four-year CUNY colleges. According to CUNY's Interactive Student Data book, in fall of 2022, of the 52,374 students enrolled in associate degree programs at CUNY 7 community colleges, only 13.8% of them were Black. Bro, that's a lot of people. Hey, what's up, F Holiday? That's a lot of people. The city of New York is 20% Black. So about half of that is 10%. So 13.8% of the student body being Black men are overperforming 3.8%. So that's like 38% above representation. I think that's pretty good. I mean, if it were just me, Black people are only 13% of the nation, and Black men are 13% of the student body. I mean, that doesn't seem like a deficit, percentage-wise. So the smaller number at Hostos, where 13% of the 4,303 students enrolled are Black men, it is not a big jump to draw a line from the paucity of Black male community college students. The paucity, that's good word usage. Let's just look that up real quick. So smallness of number, fewness, scarcity, dearth. Okay, so there isn't actually a paucity. They're overrepresented. So what are we talking about? And it's meant to convey a certain message, right? Just skip over the fact that it's above normal, right? We're just going to use the language to communicate a message which says, hey, there just aren't enough Black men. Man, come on. So college students through to the paucity of male transfer students, finishing at the paucity of four-year Black male college students in fall 2022 of CUNY's 11,130 transfer students, only 939, 8.3% were Black men. Now, as I just discussed, right, New York is 20% Black, so 8.3% is almost there. There should be 10%. If 10% of the student body is transferring, right, to a four-year degree, that's right on keel. Like, this is almost there. I don't see how this is an emergency. If they were to say, hey, the article said, we need 1.7 more percent or something like that to be at 10%, because usually it's the other way, right? You stand at the finish line and see that Black people aren't represented by their population numbers, and then it's like, oh, that's a great injustice. Well, here we are. We're almost there, right? So Black men are leaking out of the vertical transfer pipeline more than the average student, a fact that is also true nationally. One of the challenges in understanding and addressing leaks, of course, leaks is a bad word, in the vertical transfer pipeline is that students involved are sometimes mentioned as faceless, identityless percentages represented by diminishing line graphs. It's imperative that we name these students. We must ask ourselves, who are these students not going to college and vertically transferring? The answer is Black men. And, it's, again, that assumption that, a four-year degree is an unqualified good, right? What if for Black man, education is optimized by the access to the labor market that comes with an associate's, right? What if the increased cost, debt, and deferred income of another 2 years in school is not the best fit, right? What if? So Black men are more likely to seek out post-secondary education at two-year colleges. What? Well, of course, right? Of course. I mentioned this a lot, but I'm going to do it again. Um, come on, computer. When we're being educated like this, right? What we are prepared for are more 2-year colleges, right? And HBCUs. There's a reason black men do better at HBCUs and 2-year colleges and have better outcomes, right? Because oftentimes we're not prepared for those environments. So black men are more likely to seek out post-secondary education at 2-year colleges, of course, with 81% attending public community colleges and 43% of those students indicating they are interested in transferring after community college. Luke Wood and Robert Palmer's findings in their article, The Likelihood of Transfer for Black Males in Community Colleges, examining the effects of engagement using multinomial modeling, is a tremendous asset to help transfer offices be purposeful about improving transfer process for Black men, which again is only 1.7% of the population. These researchers found a negative correlation between the number of hours the students worked and their likelihood of transfer. The more hours worked, the less likely to transfer. Maybe these are already professionals. Maybe these are people already in the job market and they need an AA to qualify for that next level, right? And another 2 years is not in their best interest. That could be. I don't know. But if you are working, yeah, you probably got a job. You probably using a community college for what it's meant to do, right? Get you that extra bump. Get you that professional certification. In addition, researchers found a positive correlation between students being involved in extracurricular activities and their likelihood of transfer, right? The more likely was the transfer. Again, in addition, positive correlation involved in extracurricular activities. So basically, the more community colleges like an extended adolescence, the more they were likely to transfer, right? They want to live that quote unquote college life, right? If you've already got bills, maybe you're less likely. So students with children or who were taking care of parents, grandparents, had a lower likelihood of transfer naturally. These findings provide support for there being a causal relationship between the number of hours a student works and their likelihood of transferring. These are important findings, but unsurprising. Excuse me. Wood and Palmer also found that greater use of campus services. Now, this is kind of perplexing. Wood and Palmer also found that greater use of campus services was associated with fewer Black men transferring. Since research has shown that campus resources are integral to the success of community college and transfer students, this finding demands our attention. Why would this be the case for Black men? Academic advisement is critical at each point of the transfer process. However, this study found that students who use these services more, particularly academic advising, might become increasingly aware of the expectations around transferring and become less likely to perceive it as an attainable goal, which is possible. Right? Or, you know what? None of them asked anyone. That's what I don't get. There are a lot of guesses and presuppositions, but like the students are there, you could just ask them, right? You could just ask them. Another factor important in understanding the paucity of vertical transfer Black males has to do with resources. When you are a poor student, college actually costs more. You also have to pay opportunity costs. Lolita Tebron and Tara Vincent Chambers' article, What is Being Black and High Achieving Going to Cost Me in Your School? Students speak out about their educational experiences through a racial opportunity cost lens. Explains that opportunity cost is defined by economists as inherent trade-offs or value of missed opportunities involved in everyday decision-making. Dean Audent of Hostos Community College wrote in fall 2022 that the opportunity cost of attending college is higher than ever. Even higher is the racial opportunity cost poor Black students face. Is it? What is the racial opportunity cost? And how is that more than going $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 into debt for 2 more years of college? Racial opportunity cost is a theoretical framework, and this is the part that stinks like BLM. Racial opportunity cost is a theoretical framework developed by 2 Black women interested in a transformation of the future Lolita Tebron and Tara Vincent Chambers. Um, ROC is defined as trade-offs or value of missed opportunities that students of color forfeit to achieve academic success in white-normed environments. God, all the grant buzzwords. This framework can be used to examine policies and practices at the school level and better understand the resultant opportunity costs to individual students of color who are working to navigate the environment to achieve academic success. A central aspect of ROC is that education plays a central role in perpetuating inequality. ROCs are expressed in three ways: psychosocial costs, representation costs, and community costs, and all result from pursuing academic success in education environments where success is defined in particular racially coded ways. Now, I still got to come back to the fact that people want the four-year degree as this unqualified good. Maybe, just maybe, being a forklift driver ain't bad. Mike Rowe has been doing dirty jobs for over a decade. Maybe becoming a heavy equipment operator, or a truck driver, or a CAD designer, a machinist, is preferable to just getting a degree because. Right? But this is the educational industrial complex feeding itself. I want to be clear that I do not have answers for how to address Black male students' ROCs. I do not even know definitively what causes what. I do have seeds of thought. ROC is a response to white normed environments, whatever that means. It helps define the increased cost of education to Black students. Many CUNY colleges will not describe themselves as white normed institutions because the majority of their students are not white. Go figure. However, CUNY colleges are not hidden under a magical cloak where the long tentacles of racist ideology cannot penetrate. And you know what that means. I need a grant. At CUNY Queensborough Community College, Amaris Matos, Assistant Vice President of Equity, Inclusion, Belonging, explained what we discovered was that while Queensborough offers multiple effective small-scale initiatives that serve Black and Latino males, the college lacks a comprehensive infrastructure to maximize the impact of the available resources. This describes what many of our colleges experience. Here's a final thought. While not fully formed, is foundational in my practice as a CUNY staff member. The lacerations of anti-Blackness cut deep. In classrooms and offices full of people of color, such as at CUNY. So in a majority-minority environment, you still can't escape the lashes of anti-Blackness and racism, even when everybody there around the entire environment is majority-minority. Okay. Anti-Black comments and rhetoric are deafeningly loud. The complexity of race in this country is a tangled matrix of domination that cannot be unraveled through diversity only. So it used to be we just need diversity, right? Which meant non-white. Now that you've achieved non-white, well, wouldn't you know it, the struggle's not over. For those of us in institutions where many members of our recent and generational immigrant population do not claim Blackness, how do we name the anti-Black impulse to inherit in saying, I'm not Black, I am insert nationality, without lumping them all under one category and erasing the identities of Black Americans? There needs to be more deliberate work toward understanding the differences in lived experiences of Black, Afro-Latino, and Black immigrant students, working toward answering this challenge. In addition to ensuring that Black men have adequate resources of all sorts, will help us provide an environment in which Black men's racial opportunity costs, which they don't know what that means, in attending college does not crush their higher education motivation. Okay, so it's just that grant. It is that grant language, and I think it is in no coincidence that they got to get this problem solved, because dun dun dun, it could be costing them pretty soon. So Rocio Reyes, currently director of transfer services. Transfer services at Hostos Community College. She graduated from Hostos Community College in 2011 and completed her BA MA in History from City College in New York in 2014. She's currently working on her PhD in anthropology at the Graduate Center and developing a theory of motherhood by investigating the birthplace of women's militancy, comparing Nicaraguan and Irish women's anti-colonial revolutionary involvement. Oh, she can be seen most nights and weekends with her with her wife cheering the loudest at high school sporting events. Bruh. Like, this is the educational industrial complex in the flesh. All right. Nowhere else could this take place. So yeah, Rocio Reyes got your back, black man. Anywho, oh my goodness, that's crazy. So what else is going on? Oh yeah. Byron Allen and the Griot Awards. That was something else. Let me see how this plays out. If I can get. Unfortunately, too many Americans. Let's see. Can y'all hear this? Americans are struggling. Okay, so background, right? It turns out the griot, which is, I don't know, it's kind of like the root. It's basically kind of like, I don't know, if Umar Johnson had a blog type of thing. And I didn't know it was funded by Byron Allen, you know? And this guy was the alpha sellout. You know, billionaire white wife owns the Weather Channel. You know, and now he's hosting an award show like this, and this kind of blew me away. To succeed. Unfortunately, too many Americans are struggling to succeed. Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, gay Americans, Jewish Americans, Muslim Americans, single mothers, and white Americans. We're all positioned to succeed when everyone can benefit from the riches of America. And when we do that, we are one and we can compete in this global society. Here's the more truth. The greatest trade deficit in America is the trade deficit between white corporate America and black America. And as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. taught us, we cannot survive with two Americas. We must achieve one America. We cannot have one America until we deal with the truth. So here is the truth. America, you are killing black America in the classroom by making sure we do not get a proper education. Byron, hold on. Byron. Byron, what are we? I don't think it's America writ large. I'm pretty sure. You're killing us in the courtroom by making sure we do not have education. You're killing us in the boardroom by making sure that we do not get real economic inclusion. And you're killing us in the hospital room by making sure that we do not have proper health care. And you're doing all of this long before you kill us in the streets. More truth.
under 1 or 2%, as opposed to where it should be, proportionate with the black population, approximately 14%, then nothing will change in Black America. And America will never.
See, now here's the thing, bro. You can't stand at the finish line and claim racism. I mean, who is actually educating? Okay, well, as a matter of fact, let me just use this example. Where's this chick? So, the decline of marriage and the, excuse me, and the rise of inequality. Real quick, single parent households have bad educational outcomes. Long story short, and it's not surprising. It's not anything we did not know, right? But if you're standing at the finish line saying, "Hey, what's up with the education?" then something is up with this. I mean, this number cannot go unaccounted for. You know, America, you can say, you know, America did this. Did it? But how? You know, if you want to say, well, the welfare programs encourage this, I agree. I agree. But the solution is to cut it off, not another program. Just saying, Byron.
Realize its fullest potential. When you come to my office, there's a sign that says,
Bro, this is killing him, right? The amount of well-to-do black people here. A crowd full of millionaires, middle class, and upper middle class people. And they, you know that they know that this number is killing black people. They know it. There's no way. And it's so obvious. But yet, here we go. Wait, was that Ebony K. Williams? So that is Ebony K. Williams.
when you come to my office and you get off the elevator, there's a sign that says, there isn't a bank in the world where I can deposit excuses, so I don't accept them.
What? Some allies in the crowd.
America, we can no longer accept your excuses. So I've asked you, America, to understand, appreciate, and accept the truth that the Black community is one of America's greatest assets and not a liability. Our contributions are enormous. It's impossible for America to be the wealthiest country in the world without the contributions of Black America. Our partnership going forward needs to be more respectful, inclusive, and balanced. Now, for all the young people out there, my wish is for you to recognize yourself in these extraordinary icons. We want to inspire you to cultivate your own talents, self-determination, and encourage the greatness that lives inside each of you. In this room, on the stage, or wherever you are, remember one thing. You are one of the most valuable assets we have. We need you. Your contributions make us stronger. To create the positive change we all need and deserve, your voice must be heard. With you, we can achieve one America. And when we achieve one America, we will achieve one race, the human race. And never forget what Harriet top. Thank you.
All right. Byron Allen getting it done. Getting it done. Here's the thing. You're gonna have to do something about this. All right. And there's no wand to wave. You know? There's no wand to wave. There's no America, this is your fault. You know, this is it has to be not solved internally. What is it? It has to be accepted that Black people's part in their own demise. You know, they have to take responsibility for the results, at least that they're getting. I mean, if you can find Black people failing in the suburbs, sure, or in majority environments that where Black people aren't in charge, sure. But if Black people are in charge and it's still failing, maybe something else is going on. Maybe something else is going on. So, see, since 87, 99, these three chicks got cases, by the way. And we're stacked, right? As far as Baltimore goes, we're stacked. And that's $1 billion school district. That is $1 billion school district. And now, the governor of Maryland. We can't lose. In Maryland, can't. From the governor all the to the city. Right? Well, I got another photo here. Where is Baltimore? Oh, here it is. Oh, there we are. Oh, darn it. Sorry. Johnette Richardson. Ronald S. McFadden. Dr. Brooks. Oh, Andrew Coy snuck in. Ashley Esposito. Atira Griffin. Kwame Jamal Kenyatta Bay. Vernon A. Reed. Chantel L. Roberts. Robert Smalley. And Kalila Slater Harrington. Can't lose. And yet, no students proficient. I mean, I don't know. You know, there has to be something. There has to be some kind of way to help people. And I don't think Baltimore is America's fault. Not when they've got $1 billion school district. That's just me. That's just my opinion. And let's see, what else we got here? You know, and I wanted to tell when I say the educational industrial complex, what do I actually mean? Here it is. What do I mean? This is 2012 through 2022 pensions for CalPERS. So this is California, right? California's largest public pay and pension database. So, yeah, this is it. This is how much people are getting in California, right? $551,688.24 in 2005 from the city of Vernon. I've never even heard of the city of Vernon. So it's probably a real small city that's paying this dude $500,000. I mean, 40 years of service. I don't know, is he a mayor, congressman, city, well, some sort of city official, but you get what I'm saying. So, California School Boards Association. C-note usually means that they got like a one-time, your return 2010. Yeah, one-time settlement payouts. So that happens sometimes. But this is State of California Public Employees Retirement System. That is the employer. They work for the retirement system. In 2018, they got 433,000. Right? This is a complete racket. All right, State of California, University of California at Los Angeles, UCLA. In 2002, 363,000. Right? These people are banking. Now, I know California has higher pay, of course. This is everywhere. Right? Your university presidents in Pennsylvania are pocketing multiple six figures in just pensions. Not to mention, let me see. Oh, this is the president, Cal State University at Sacramento, which is a small time school, by the way. The CSU system is, smaller in attendance and prestige, etc. To the University of California system. And then, it's a small school, man. 2003, 345,000 and change in just retirement. Right? The educational industrial complex, it is metastasized all over the country at all levels of government. And if you're wondering why it's so poor, it's because this is who else are you going to attract? My interactions have left me so jaded. I asked at a public meeting in California about why should we approve more money if the reading scores are so low, right? And the lady whispered to me. She's in maybe late 20s. She wasn't an old withered teacher, right? Was not. And she whispered, "It's the Mexican." Like, wait, what did you say? You're scapegoating an entire race for reading scores, and they take no accountability, and they walk away with this money. You gotta be kidding me! And as far as California goes, now this was written in 2017, so not that long ago. 75% of Black California boys don't meet state reading standards. Well. Are we surprised? But what does that lead to? What does that lead to? Because if you can't read, you can't reason. Right? And if you can't reason, you can't long-term plan. And what does that lead to? So in year 2017, the year most recent data, 28.5% of the state's male prisoners were African American, compared to just 5.6% of the state's adult male residents. So one thing California is really good at is producing prisoners. So 5 times the population ends up, 5% of the state population of black men end up in prison. So is a Byron? Is America doing this? Is America doing this, Byron? So the educational industrial complex chugs along with humongous pensions while nobody can read. Nobody can read. And I just want to put this in perspective. How outrageous the amount is, right? How outrageous the amount. So let's say, oh God, let me see here. Okay, so these are pensions, right? These pensions are insane. Oh, the Department of Corrections, they make a lot of money. Especially weird thing is prison dentists. Prison dentists make a metric F ton of money. They make a stupid amount of money. But so look at these numbers. These numbers are huge. So what we're going to say is withdrawal amount. Let's say, let's call it $8,000. $8,000 monthly, right? So we're gonna creep it up around. Yeah, prison dentist clue. It's stupid, man. The prison dentists, prison nurses, prison psychologists make a huge amount of money because California has had all these lawsuits throughout the years, and they have to provide all these services, and to get people to do it in a prison, they have to entice them with huge amounts of money. And even in other states, they make a lot of money, but prison dentists in California, man. So we're going to calculate so this would be $96,000 a year, right? So almost 6 figures. And annual growth rate, since we're comparing this to a pension, the nominal tax or nominal percent rate for risk-free investments, we'll call it 3%, just 3%. And so this person needs to have this money for, we'll be conservative, let's say 15 years, right? So they need to be able to withdraw $8,000 a month, right, at 3% for 15 years. That is $1,161,339.88. Who is going to save that much money to have an annuity? Like, if you're not a public sector worker and you want to have $96,000 a year, this is how much you need. And there's no way in heck you can do that in the private sector. So a lot of these retirements are like small lottery winnings. Like that's a small lottery. That's like the amount of the lottery, like the week after they hit for the billions, right? It'll be some small number, right? So you're getting a small lottery just by doing this. And this is multiplied by hundreds of thousands of people across the country. So, people are taught to quote unquote follow the money, right? Because that's where all the evil people are if you follow the money. And I have yet to see someone get upset when I point out that university presidents are pulling down $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year in pensions. They just people kind of stare at you and blink, and they're like, because they aren't trained to think that way. They can reiterate the phrase corporate profits over and over again. But you let them know that, some useless administrator is pulling down $250,000 a year in pension. It's like they can't put 2 and 2 together. Maybe that's why people are getting tricked into spending $80K a year or graduating from college with $80K in debt. So this person can get that annuity. So it's just a crazy amount of money being spent. And the educational industrial complex is real. Trust me, this article, this is how they think. Hey, black men aren't, going to college. I mean, and here we went over it. Dude, it's 8.3%. That's almost on population, right? But black men have to be some sort of victim here so they can get their numbers up. So the educational industrial complex can chug along. And it's another good video I want to put up. So, where are we at here? Let me start right about here.
If you're like John D. Rockefeller, before we went so distorted with this kind of giant crony capitalist system that we live under, is that in a free market, if there's no government involvement and you're in a free market, there's still all of those incentives that you're talking about. All these companies want to make as much money as possible, but what it kind of does is channel that into something where, like, all right, how do we make as much money as possible? Well, you got to make something that people really want to buy. You got to make something that they really want. You know what I mean? And that, I'm not suggesting there can't be any corruption in that type of system, but once you get the government involved in it, now the way to make the most money is to force things on people. You get the government to write a rule, and now the people have no choice. And so these incentives that can somewhat exist in harmony with doing good for society in some conditions is now totally corrupted, right? Like it's totally. So even if you think about something with, like, let's say there's you have like the vaccine or a vaccine or something like that, and theoretically there's no collusion between the government and pharmaceutical companies, and you want to get people to take your vaccine. Well, you're going to have to, like, convince them that it's really good for them. You're going to have to sell them on, like, no, look at this data. Look at how much this reduced the rate of death from this. Look at all this.
No lie there, right? And what I want to say about this is there was a rule back in, I think it was back when Clinton was in office. Basically, they made it so CEO's pay was now reportable, right? CEO pay was now not like regular pay. Right, a corporation pays an employee and whatever, you write it off the books, right? But you couldn't do that for CEOs anymore, right? So you couldn't pay them with money. So what companies started doing is paying them in stock. So now, fast forward to 2023, now you have people. CEOs aren't trying to build the best widget. They're trying to get the best stock price. So they will make decisions, short-term decisions, based on maximizing their compensation rather than building a better mousetrap. Because before, you had to build a better mousetrap. You had to build a better car. You had to compete. You had to invest in technology. You had to do all these things to get a better mousetrap. Now it's just like, well, hey, how much of the subsidy can we get for these electric cars, right? How much can we get from the government for this, for that, or the other thing? The better mousetrap is secondary.
This great information about the vaccine. But if you have the government involved, then you're like, well, you know what? Just go lobby the government to make it mandatory. Then we'll rake in profits. That's so much more of a profitable direction to go. And so, there's all these things.
So, those airport scanners you walk through? How do you think they got there? If I got any viewers that aren't old enough to remember, this was after 9/11, and hey, never let a emergency go to waste, right? The right congressman got paid, and now to prevent another 9/11, you have to have these millimeter wave scanners in every single airport. And the congressmen that benefited from that money are since long gone. But those machines break and need repair, need replacement, and they have been a lasting source of income for the companies that provide them.
Things get corrupted, and particularly today, we just, the size of the U.S. federal government is the biggest organization in the history of the world. There's not even a close second.
And it's got survival in
world. The U.S. federal government is the biggest organization in the history of the world. the U.S. federal government is that it's the biggest organization in the history of the world. There's not even a close second.
And it's got survival instincts.
Yeah.
It doesn't want to give up ground. It doesn't want to give up power.
Well,
it wants to keep expanding. It wants more funding for its projects. It wants to hire more people to deal with something in an incompetent way. And it's not like the free market where if it's incompetent, there's going to be a competitor that comes along, does a better job, and you're going to lose the market. No.
Well, you ever look at if you look at the list of the richest counties in America, and they're I forget the
So they know, right? The educational industrial complex knows. If they're wondering why are people graduating from college with all this debt, yada yada yada. Oh, it's such a shame. As they're retiring to, a paid off house and a retirement that adjusts for inflation. And you know what that annuity example I put up earlier does not does not include healthcare. Right? They're still getting healthcare from whatever agency that they retired with. So you can throw another 10, 15 grand on top of that per year, really. So
exact numbers, it's
all lobbyists.
Well, it's 10 of they're all, not all, but the vast majority of them are right outside Washington D.C. and right outside New York City. And so what is that? Is that capitalism? Do you go to Washington D.C. and you go, oh, there's more millionaires there than there are in any other part of the world in the suburbs around Washington D.C.? Is that because there's great big factories and they're making so much stuff that everyone wants to buy? It's no, that's because our centralized federal government spends over $6 trillion a year. And where does that money go? It goes into all the people who are connected to government. And why is it outside of New York City? Is it because in New York City they have great big factories where they're making all the things that everyone wants? It's no. And that's not because of capitalism. That's because Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard. And now it's just this phony casino Wall Street money. So it's everybody, all the people at the top who are making all of this money. They're not making it. It'd be one thing if you're John D. Rockefeller before he went and colluded with the government, and you created Standard Oil, right. And now there's this big oil company, and you're making the country richer by this. But they're not making the country richer. They're extracting wealth out of the rest of the population. It's all just extracted. I mean, literally, the federal spending is extracting wealth out of people by taxing them and then spending it. It's literally taking the money from people who work and giving it to politically connected people. And then the Wall Street money is just printing money and then making your dollar less valuable. So just in another way, extracting wealth from the people. And this is basically why we live in this populist moment right now, where so many people are so freaking furious at the establishment because they're right to be.
They're right to be.
And here's one thing I gotta say. You can be upset at the establishment, but you're gonna have to do something about Social Security. Right? You're gonna have to do something about that. There is no way to not. Right? This is federal spending, and here's revenue. It's always fallen short. I mean, there is just a metric S-ton of deficit every year. And the impetus is not military spending. We was you should cut the military. We should start there. And the military is 20% of the budget. Over 50% is transfer payments, right? Welfare of some sort. That is the driver. But I mean, are we as Americans going to say, well, are we going to throw mama from the train? I mean, I don't know. I don't think so.
It's a shit system. It's a shit, scary system that you can never beat if it gets to make its own rules.
Well, it's not what America was supposed to be.
It's so wild. The stock market is such a wild idea that it's based on confidence, and you bet on companies.
Yeah,
you're essentially betting on buying and selling, and you can wreck them and you can own them, and and there's people that just play that game. All they do is chase after businesses, short businesses. You could short a country.
Yeah. No, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild, and
it's the craziest gambling.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, the educational industrial complex is just an enormous threat, man. Because these are the results they produce. I mean, and here's the thing: you still have to live with these people, right? You still have to live with people that can't read. You still have to live with people. They're not all going to jail, you know. I mean, these crazy uh, test scores have consequences down the line for everybody. You know, there's you can't escape it. I mean, I remember thinking this in the '80s, man. I was just like, that was when, I think it was 60 Minutes, man, came out with this expose of children graduating high school that were illiterate, and I don't mean functioning illiterate, like they could do see Jane run, but their reading comprehension is kindergarten or whatever. No, they could not do see Jane run. Right, this was in the '80s, and it was a huge scandal. Right, and that's when all the testing came in hot and heavy. It was some accountability. Like, you cannot let kids graduate from high school completely illiterate. You can't do that. You just can't. And what has to be done is just an acknowledgement that, it's not just America, man. Right? If you're unfamiliar with the Atlanta public schools cheating scandal, America didn't do that. Right? Beverly Hall did. Colluded to change kids' test scores to bump them up to look like they were higher than they were. As a matter of fact, she got an award for it. She got an award for that. Where's that picture? Oh, yeah, she passed away. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Hall served as the executive committee member of the Council of Great City Schools and received his highest honor, the Richard R. Green Award, in 2006. Cassidy remembered Hall as an educator of first rank, from whom many students benefited and whose work on behalf of urban students will endure decades. Yeah. This woman literally cheated black kids out of an education. Literally. I mean, Byron. I think we got to try something different. If there's going to be any progress, got to try something different. But I mean, that's all I really got, man. I've been thinking about this. Oh wait, I do have another one. Let me see. And where is it? This is vexing. Trust me. There was that chick not too long ago. Was talking about, hey, I don't care if you're not voting for Biden, and she was kind of addressing that to black men, and I was thinking, yeah, you care. Yeah, you care, because that represents a significant loss in power and influence. So. Where is it? Basically, it was going back and forth with this dude about education, and where is it? Okay, so yeah, I'll do that later. It's late. Hey, shout out to everybody who showed up. Thanks for coming through. I appreciate it. Good to see you, Holiday, Jarrell 28, Rod the Cloud Engineer, Clue Channel, salute. Oh, Elijah Martin, I didn't see you at the top there. You were in here early. My bad. Thanks for coming, everybody who is named and unnamed. Just want to talk about that article because this is the educational industrial complex at work. And yeah, keep going to community college, man. I encourage you to do it. Keep getting those professional certificates and getting access to more job opportunities and promotions because you got your AA. Yeah, and if you don't have to bear the expense of a 4-year education, or it's not right for you, don't do it. Don't do it. All right, I'm going to replay my intro, and then I am out of here.